Hi everyone, welcome back to the House of Joseph. It's me, I'm back. I'm so sorry I've been gone nearly, what, 2 weeks has it been? My bad. Been a bit busy at work and no time really to film because it's getting quite late. Shall I start that again? No, I can't. Press on, shall I? Shall I just press on? Pressing on. I was just saying, wasn't I, about by the time I've got those lights are bright there, aren't they? And that one. I was just saying, wasn't I, about by the time I get home from work, it's 9, 10 o'clock, even 11 o'clock at night, because David and I, we always meet each other after we finished our shifts and go for something to eat or just walk home together. And invariably it's pretty late, so I'm going to stop waffling right now because that's not what you tuned in for. Is it, beautiful ones? Is it really? Or is it? I don't really know. Maybe you like me waffling. I don't particularly like my waffle, but there we are. I've been living with my waffle for 51 years now, but right, I'm getting off the beaten track, aren't I? So in today's tutorial, beautiful ones, I'm going to be showing you all how to stop foundation from oxidizing. Oxidization or oxidation, not too sure which one it is. I've always called it oxidization, and I believe it may just be oxidation. Is the process where, you know when you bite into an apple and it starts to turn brown? That's not actually oxidization, that's a process called the Maillard reaction. Oxidization is very, very similar to the Maillard reaction. Oxidization is more along the lines of cars rusting, and also oxidation or oxidization. Shall I decide which one I'm going to use? I'm going to call it oxidization for today's tutorial, and if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. Thank you. Oxidization is the process whereby air basically darkens stuff. So that's a very, 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 very potted version of the whole chemical process. However, it can significantly darken foundation, in other words, rather than me waffling. Yeah, so before I continue, have you noticed anything different about me, beautiful ones? Perhaps the old hair? Yeah, I went black again. Well, dark brown, because just fed up being blonde. I'm quite changeable, aren't I? Quite, what's the word? Choppy? Is that a word? Chopping and changing? I guess that's the word I'm going to use for today, or for my obsession with different looks. Call me the chameleon, beautiful ones. Name me after Linda Evangelista, who now doesn't look like Linda Evangelista. I get all of that, beautiful ones. But so yeah, no, I went dark in the end, and I used Nice and Easy's Clairol Nice and Easy dark brown. I did do some research before applying the dark brown dye to my hair. Although I actually did the research whilst the dark brown dye was on the hair, so by then it was way too late to do what people suggested. And you're supposed to add an auburn colour to blonde hair before you then go in with the dark brown dye. I remember years ago when I was doing my nurse training, I lived with a lovely man, a policeman called Neil, and his beautiful wife Wendy. Hi Wendy, hi Neil. I know that they probably wouldn't be watching, but hi anyway, just in case you are watching. It's me, it's Joseph, how are you both doing? Right, getting off the beaten track again. Yeah, and Wendy was a hairdresser, and she said to me, Joe, if ever you bleach your hair again, because I was blonde at the time, and you want to go dark, she said, just put something red down before you put the dark brown dye down. So even if you use ketchup, those were her exact words, beautiful ones. She said, even if you put ketchup down, you need a red pigment to then put down before the dark brown dye goes on. That way it acts as like a filler. Don't really know what that's all about. I'm a skincare person, not a hair person. I've never professed to be a hair person, but right, okay. Should we talk about oxidization as opposed to hair and hair colours? But what do you think anyway? This is basically how I look, or how I looked 10, 20 years ago before I hit the bottle of bleach, and the whiskers are all natural now. Getting a bit long. I'm trying to grow my moustache down to where it was before. It was all one length on my top lip. But can you see those gingery handlebars? That's just natural. And the white chin whiskers are natural too. Eyebrows are now natural. And hair is about as near as damn it natural. Although before I had the salt and peppering here, which is the grey and the white and black mixed together. But right, I'm going to talk about oxidization now, guys. But before I do any of that, I'm going to run downstairs and go and turn the washing machine on. Right, beautiful ones, I'm back. Washing machine's turned off. We should have no more interruptions now, should we? Other than the fact that neighbour's now drilling holes in her wall. I don't know what that's all about. She's been doing it since about 7 o'clock this morning, so... Right, okay. So first of all, you'll need a... So beautiful ones. First of all, should we discuss what type of skins would be more prone to having the foundation oxidise on them? Believe it or not, it's oily skin, because oils are pumped out, and it's basically a layer of fat between you and the foundation. which then interacts with the makeup and turns it much, much darker, up to 3 or 4 shades darker. Generally just 2, but sometimes in some instances it can go as up to 3 or 4 shades darker. So what I'm trying to say there is we need to try and control the oil on the skin somehow, don't we? We do. And so the first thing we're going to do, beautiful ones, is go and wash our faces. Absolutely. All you need to do though, guys, and do remember this is an important tip, is wash your face once a day or twice a day. First thing in the morning, last thing at night, to remove makeup at night before you get into bed. First thing in the morning, just to remove the build-up of oils which have accumulated overnight. The reason we do it once to twice a day and no more than that is the fact that the skin will start to try to compensate for the fact that oils have been removed by washing, so therefore pumping out even more oil and therefore creating a vicious circle. Now, beautiful ones, I've just had a nice hot bath. I've had a little shave as well, to shave the panels on my face, in other words. God, I'm waffling today, aren't I, beautiful ones? Bit nervous, actually. Why do I get nervous when we all know each other, don't we? And we all love each other. This is a big YouTube family, isn't it? It is. Totally forgotten what I was talking about. It will. Oh, there's a blinking dog barking outside there. Shh. Naughty, aren't they? Easily remedied by the application of music to this video, which I intended to do anyway, although my power director has expired, so... Which is an app I use to edit my photos, and I had about a yearly subscription to that, something like that, and it lapsed. So why am I telling you about my editing software? You don't need to know that either, should we talk about what we're going to be using to mattify our chops? Shall we do that? So guys, you've just heard me say that matte skin is a foundation that doesn't oxidize on the skin's best friend. You did hear me say that, didn't you? I said it about a minute ago or something like that. So how are we going to mattify our skin after we've washed it? The biggest tip I'm going to give you today is avoid primers. Just avoid them, guys. Avoid moisturizer, avoid serum. I know that's not as easy as it sounds, because the trend at the minute is to apply serum, moisturizer, primer, and about 3 or 4 layers, and then foundation on top of those 3 layers. So with all of those layers on your skin, the foundation won't stand a snowball's chance in hell of looking anywhere near like it's supposed to. So do, if you can at all possible, do away with primers, moisture. I know it sounds ridiculous, guys, because many of you out there have dry skin, and all I can suggest is just maybe exfoliating your skin, but to get a truly smooth finish, which will last all day and won't oxidize, avoid primers. And I'll tell you why primers hasten oxidization is because, yes, many of them are oil controlling, although many ingredients in the primers themselves will hasten the oxidization process. So within an hour or less than that, your foundation will darken significantly. Again, it's that chemical reaction we were talking about earlier. Exactly the same with setting sprays. I don't ever use primer, and I certainly don't use setting spray. And in fact, when I'm applying, not that I ever wear makeup myself, but if I was applying makeup to a client, something like that, I would try to avoid using primers wherever possible. They're awful things. They just are. If you have very dry skin and you need some kind of lubrication between your skin and the makeup, I do get that, beautiful ones. Just go in with an a water-based, make sure it's water-based, a water-based serum, so that, do you know what I'm saying there? Because that way it will absorb quickly, it won't leave that sticky mess on the skin either, and it will help to hydrate your skin, although it won't leave any oils behind, which then could hasten the whole oxidization process. So think oil-free serum as opposed to 4 or 5 layers of product. One of the cheapest and easiest and most readily available methods of removing excess oil from the skin, which could then lead to oxidization, is using just something like a plain piece of tissue paper. What you need to do is just to, do you know what I'm saying there? Is just to open up the ply so that you're not using both plies, and the thinner it is, the better. So that's that piece of tissue paper now separated into 2. So what I've done there is, I think this is actually 3 plies, so good, isn't it? And then just blot. That's not particular because I just have had a bath, but my skin is combination, so I would focus on my T-zone where it does get particularly oily, and just blot this on, and that will absorb those excess oils. And you can do that throughout the day. I think these are probably better than using something like one of those rubberized sheets, because once you've got your foundation in place, it won't be quite so disruptive to the foundation on the skin as opposed to applying one of those rubbery sheets. All you need to do is just to open that out like that. Maybe fold it over and just dab it on the oily areas. Don't swipe it, just dab it on like that. And that way, obviously, the oils will be absorbed. So the next tip I'm going to give you, beautiful ones, is to always wash your hands before applying any sort of, and don't apply with fingers, either use a foundation brush or a sponge of some description, because obviously we still have oils on the end of our fingers, whether we've just washed them or not. They're still going to be pretty oily, and the lubrication in our fingers is there for a reason, obviously. How many times am I going to say obviously today? Well, it is obvious to me. I don't know whether it's obvious to any of you out there, but shall I stop? Yeah. So maybe just wash fingers and don't apply with these. Just in case you do touch your face or something like that, that's going to transfer the oils from the tips of your fingers directly onto the foundation, and then hence expedite the whole oxidization process thing. So, but before you apply your foundation, you'll need to do this step just to ensure your skin is nice and matte and the foundation won't oxidize. So go and get yourself a jug of water, get your beauty sponge and just dip it in the water. Okay, make sure it's saturated, and then squeeze off the excess water. Get yourself a very, very cheap white powder. This is a translucent pressed powder, not a setting powder, although you could use a setting powder, I don't see why not. And then with the pointed end or the rounded end, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to use the pointed end today because I'm going to be applying this to my nose. Get a good layer of that on. Okay, close that up. You can see that on there, can't you? And just apply this to where you normally get the most oil. You just heard me say, didn't you, that I get it around my nose? How are you all, guys? Are you all okay? Goodness me, I've missed you. I really, really have. Put a little bit more on the old forehead, so I'm not going to bother re-soaking that, that's wet enough. Yeah, I've been watching a really interesting YouTuber called Kiki Chanel. I'll link her channel into the description, and she's got about 600,000 subscribers, so she's what I would class as an influencer, although she's not a beauty influencer. I think she's a reporter or something, like maybe a journalism student. She's only 20 or something, very young, but she's an American girl, and she's been doing these really funny videos on TikTok about the scandals which happen on TikTok. And my goodness, they're fascinating. They really, really are. There was one on Marshall's, the Marshall's store, the Hello Kitty scandal. It's just so funny. Right, okay, so that looks ridiculous now, doesn't it? It does, but just let it dry for a few minutes, and that will keep oil in check for most of the day, because this is a silicone-based powder. It's going to bond with the skin on some level and control oil. So if you don't do this step, then it won't, obviously. But right, have a quick puff. So guys, you could use something like milk of magnesia in place of the pressed powder. Milk of magnesia is one of the best mattifiers in the world. It will just hold oil in check all day long. It literally will. And I think that it actually tends to reprogram the skin to make skin less oily too. So if you suffer from really oily skin, then milk of magnesia could be your new best friend. So beautiful. And should we talk about what foundations to use now, which won't tend to oxidize as quickly as foundations that do? So try to avoid, where possible, powder foundations. Although again, if you're applying powder foundations directly onto to bare skin, you should be fine. However, if you're applying a foundation onto moisturizer, a powder foundation onto moisturizer or serum or something like that, it will oxidize really, really, really quickly, almost instantly. And you can see that if you just go and get a pressed powder or something and apply it onto quite a well moisturized cheek, you'll see the color darken immediately. And then the oils will transfer onto the sponge, and then you'll get that horrible shiny film, and the whole thing will end up in a mess. So again, my loathing of primers, but there is a very good reason for why I don't like primers. So try and find yourself a matte long wearing or ultra long wearing foundation, something like Estee Lauder's Double Wear would do. This is a cheap alternative to Estee Lauder's Double Wear. Amanda Young, hello, how are you? This is the W7 Legend Lasting Wear foundation, which Amanda asked me to review ages ago, and I still haven't got round to reviewing it yet, although I will. This is a dupe of Estee Lauder's Double Wear foundation. This is in shade Natural Beige, I believe. Let me just double check that. Flesh beige, so getting stuff wrong already, but shall I just get some of this on the old chops and then I'll explain to you as I'm popping it on why lasting matte foundations or ultra long lasting matte foundations work better than any other foundation to prevent oxidization or oxidation. I'm sure it's oxidization actually. So just give it a good shake. So we're mixing up those fixing agents which are inherent in every ultra long wearing formula. Just unscrew the cap. And I haven't tried this foundation before other than on the back of my hand. This is one of those horrible screw top things like Estee Lauder's Double Wear. That's way too much foundation for my skin. Although you will need a little bit more foundation to get over the powder. It's all just collapsed over there typically. But yeah, so that may do my whole face, or again, it may be way too much, but we'll soon find out, won't we, beautiful ones? So this time I think I might just go in with a dry sponge because I don't really want to have a dry brush. I don't really want to disturb the powder, although that will have set by now. Again, silicone based. So gather some of that up on le brush or le brushy. Let's have a look. How does that look? Right, okay, let's just start on the areas you've applied the soaked pressed white powder first, which will be the schnufter, won't it? It will, guys. And then go up onto the forehead. And what we're doing here is, by applying that layer of powder, we are in effect absorbing all those oils by applying the layer of powder first. And I soak my sponge just because it helps the powder bond with the skin a lot better than if you didn't. So just get the remnants of that foundation off the back of that hand. And can you see the powder's now disappeared? And that's because it's blending with the ultra long wear foundation. Should be buffing really, shouldn't I? But I would in any normal circumstances buff. And a buff is like a circular sort of motion. It's just important to get it on the skin first, and then you can start manipulating it. So that is now on my face. Can you see the glow on that cheek there? Again, that's because the brush was slightly damp, not soaking, slightly damp, but is there any white anywhere? No, that looks pretty good, doesn't it, guys? It does. Yeah, I'm loving the look of this foundation. It's much more sheer than Estee Lauder's Double Wear. I'll do a comparison one day when I can actually afford a bottle of Estee Lauder's Double Wear, something like £36 or something. I think you're paying for the name again. Whereas this stuff, I did inspect the ingredients, and basically, although there are some variation, it looks identical to Estee Lauder's Double Wear in the composition. So, and then we're going to just blend that in nicely. And you have to work really quickly with one of these ultra long wearing foundations because they set, and anything that sets on the skin will mattify the skin too. Because of the nature of the setting agents, they are inherently or normally matte in nature. They are. Why am I shouting? I haven't got a clue why I'm shouting at you, beautiful. I'm not angry. I don't get angry anyway, but oh, there goes glasses. To go and retrieve them in a minute. And then I've got a couple more tips to give you, beautiful ones, but this won't oxidize now. Especially if you're going for it with another layer of powder. Let me get those bloody glasses back. Do you like my new glasses, beautiful ones? They are Emporio. No, they're Giorgio Armani, £500. No, they're so not. They're from B&M, £1.99. David saw them and he said my glasses look really, really expensive. And someone at work said they look really expensive. £1.99. You can't go wrong. Why do we spend so much money on stuff when the alternatives are so much cheaper and oftentimes better too? It leaves me gobsmacked. But and also, beautiful ones, by going in with a white powder, it acts like a sort of polyfiller, so the pores will look much, much smaller or even disappear. Can't be bad, can it, guys? No, it can't. So I will go in with a layer of powder, so I'll just use I haven't used this brush yet. Just get rid of some of that excess oil. Powder, even. Talking about oil. I'm obsessed with this stuff, aren't I? I get that this looks very, very chalky at the minute, guys, but within about an hour or so, it won't, and this makeup will now be set in place all day long. And because we've used the white powder in a paste basically beforehand, that's going to control oil all day long, thus prevent oxidization and darkening of foundation. If I were you guys, I would wash my brushes regularly, at least once a week. I wash mine actually every time I've used them, and my sponges too. I just do, because it's maybe I'm being particularly anal there, although I always think that, you know, starting a session or a makeup look or anything like that with new brushes, clean brushes, it is the only way forward. So that's a big tip actually, because you're avoiding bacteria and yesterday's oil which has been built up in the brush or the sponge. Does that make sense? Why wouldn't it make sense? And then if you start to break through, which us people with oily combination or just oily skin tend to do on a daily basis, again the T-zone is the main culprit. If the oil starts to break through, go and get your the tissue which you've opened up, and just press on the face. In fact, you could do that anyway, just to remove any more oil, and go in with another layer of powder if you like. Powder really is oily skin's best friend. So now, beautiful ones, I've locked in the foundation and the layer of powder which I applied with the little purple sponge, with another layer of powder. This lot won't budge now, and it certainly won't oxidize. And because I didn't use primers, there's nothing on my skin to hasten the oxidization process, or even start or commence the oxidization process. So we will avoid. Should I start that again? So we have in effect avoided the whole oxidization process, which can actually be quite distressing. Do you know what I mean? You go out there and you spend 40, 50 pounds, maybe 60, 70 US dollars on the best foundation you think you've ever come across. It looks amazing in the shop. And you get it home and within an hour your skin is resembling a baked bean or American tan. It's certainly not the colour you put on in the shop. If you follow the tips I've given you today, then it should stay true to colour and last all day as well. Final tip of the day, beautiful ones, is to check the expiration of your bottle of foundation, or powder. What powder foundations tend to expire a lot longer than something with water in it, although do please check the expiration of the bottle of foundation you're using, because if it starts to separate in there, then it's going to end up in a hot mess on your skin. So a good rule of thumb with foundation expiry dates is, if in doubt, throw it out. Get yourself a new one, especially for something like the Legend W7 Legend Lasting Wear, which was something ridiculous like £5 from B&M versus £36 for Estee Lauder. I better go now, beautiful ones. So if you have any questions or anything pertaining to oily skin or foundation oxidizing, do let me know in the comments. Similarly, I'd love to hear how, if you do anything in addition to what I've shown you today to prevent your foundation from oxidizing. I'd also love to hear any stories you have about your skin, the foundation going much darker, anything like that. If you just let me know in the comments and you know, share your stories, I think that would be really entertaining. That's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Similarly, consider subscribing, hit the notification button to all so you're notified each time I release new videos. All that remains is for me to wish you guys a beautiful Saturday, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you all very soon. Remember, I love you.